Welcome to all of you again, also from me. Today I'm honored to introduce some amazing speakers we have with some of the greatest tech stories in Europe and the world. And this first keynote is something I've personally been looking forward to, and I'm sure most of you have. It's about a company that has experienced incredible growth through the past 3 years on all dimensions. That means taking the company from 1 million players daily to 100 million. That is incredible and amazing. And we're about to meet one of the persons who was the strategist behind this immense growth. His name is Thomas Hartwig from King.
Do you have a clicker? Hi everyone, I'm Thomas. Shit. So, really good to be here. As I said, I'm Thomas. I work as CTO, and I'm also one of the co-founders of a company called King. Actually, I used my artistic freedom to change the subject a bit. And the keynote for today is about trying to answer one question. And that is how to get 100 million players. And I thought that we should try to deep dive into that today. First, I would like to give you a short introduction. It's a bit bombastic, this question, but let's try to make it. So first, I would just like to give you an introduction to King. So the company was founded in 2003, and we started off doing casual games. And with casual games, it's basically small games, puzzle games basically, that are quite easy to learn and harder to master. And we started off doing that and publishing the games on our website called king.com. The games you played in tournaments, so it was a sort of competitive environment. But 3 years ago, we decided that we wanted to publish our games on Facebook. And we've been sort of very fortunate to hit the sweet spot in terms of publishing our games on Facebook. So right now, I think that we are in a position where we can sort of claim that we are one of the leaders in terms of publishing games on both mobile and on Facebook. So right now, we have the top grossing game on Apple App Store and the top grossing game on Google Play, and we have the top 3 games on Facebook in terms of reach. So the players have really sort of encouraged and started to play our games right now. In terms of growth, we've been seeing some huge uptake in players playing our games. In March 2012, we were sort of hovering around 20 million players playing our games every day. A year later, we had sort of increased that by 5 times to 100 million players. And in the last 5 months, basically going from March to August, we doubled that amount. So right now we have about 225 million players playing our games on a monthly basis. And I'm sort of CTO and managing the technology team within King.com, and basically my whole team has been running around sort of trying to cope up with the traffic. So this is basically how my whole team has been looking for the last year. I would like to ask a question. How many of you have been playing our biggest hit, Candycrush Saga? Okay, cool, quite a few. And those of you who have been playing that game, it's if you have sort of reached level 65, you probably know that that is a notoriously hard level to beat, and that sort of shows the really sort of interesting things with that game. And I thought that we should do a really crazy thing today, actually. So I would like for us, everyone here, to play a game together in order to answer the question how to reach 100 million players. It's a big experiment. It might turn out to be a big fail, but I saw in the introduction that big fails is okay. So let's try to do it. There's a game format where you basically show 4 pictures that are associated with a word. You can find them in different app stores. 4 pics and a word, guess the word, and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically showing 4 pictures, and then we should try to find the associated word with those 4 pictures. And when you have the right answer and you want to give it a go, please raise your hand and I will try to point at you, and then you can say the word that you are thinking about. Okay? Cool. So just to repeat, 4 pictures. I will show 4 pictures. You've tried to come up with a word, and I will point at you to say the word. So let's give it a try. Anyone? Cat. Correct. Good. Let's do another one. Sweden. Correct. Okay, I think that we got the picture, right? So let's try to do a deep dive into the characteristics of Candycrush Saga and spice it up with this game format, and hopefully we will learn something during this session. So that's my plan for today. Okay? I compiled a Saga game or a level progression with 8 different levels. So there's basically 8 different quizzes in this session. And I actually brought some prizes. So if you answer correct to a question, I have a couple of socks here. So please join the stage and pick them up. Unfortunately, we only have like half an hour, so we have to speed things up. Okay? Cool. Everyone ready? I can't hear you. It's too early. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Candy. Correct. Candy. Okay. In order to reach 100 million players, I think that you need to design a game that is very appealing to the audience. You really need to pay attention to the details. And we designed Candycrush to be... We specifically designed the candies so that you would actually like to feel and touch and almost eat the candies. So I think in order to reach 100 million players, you need to pay attention to the details and produce some really high-quality games and high-quality graphics. We got the inspiration from candies that you can buy in the stores in Sweden. So licorice, milk chocolate, and some mint caramels called Polka Gris. All right, level 2. We forgot to give you the socks, so I'm going to bring it here. Sure. Okay, let's do level 2. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Free, someone said. Okay, it's actually correct. It's freemium. And that is the way that we publish our games. We use a freemium model where it's basically free to download the game. You don't have to pay for it up front. And if you look at the top 18 applications in the iOS App Store, 17 of them are actually adopting this model. The only sort of outlier is Minecraft. And we try to design all our games using this model, and we want it to be free for everyone. Everyone should be able to play it. We don't want any barriers. We have designed our games to basically have 4 different categories of virtual goods that you can buy within the game. And we basically try to design the game so that you should be able to play the whole game without even spending a penny in the game. And if you look at the stats for Candycrush, almost 70% of the players that have basically completed the game, they have never made a payment in the game. And if you do a deep dive into the different categories where we monetize, one of the things is that you basically, when you start the game, you have 5 lives. And when you lose a level or sort of can't make a level, then you will lose 1 life. And when you run out of lives, you basically have the option to either wait for half an hour to get a refill of the lives, or you can ask your friends on Facebook, or you can pay. And we see that most of our customers, they actually pay to save time, basically. They want to progress throughout the game. Another thing where we monetize is that at some point you reach where you unlock different episodes. And it's basically getting new content to the game. And people are, or our players are basically paying not to having to ask their friends to help them unlock that new content on Facebook. Another thing is that when you play the game and you're almost there, and then you run out of moves in that game when you play it, you are really sort of into trying to make that level, but you fail, and then we sort of prompt something saying, okay, do you want to buy 5 extra moves, and that will hopefully get you through that level, and that is something that really appeals to people and players, and they really want to beat that level. Another thing is that you can basically increase your chances of making a level even up front by purchasing power-ups. All right, so here's a pair of socks to I think it was you, right? Okay, here's a pair of socks anyway, so good job. Level 3, okay, get ready. Anyone? Sorry? Yes, accessible, yes. In order to reach 100 million players, we believe that the game has to be accessible to everyone. If you look 10 years ago, when people were going on the tube, they were basically reading newspapers. And nowadays, people are playing games or reading their emails on the subway instead. And you basically have your device with you all the time. And some of you are probably bored at me right now and sort of are playing another game or something. So you basically play everywhere you are. And you need to design a game so that playing becomes a habit. You want the player to play when they have like 5 minutes spare between sort of doing tasks and job things at work or sort of waiting for the bus or anything. You want to design the game so that it's easy to pick up everywhere. It's also important that you have like an intuitive interface. You want to design the application for a demographic that is as wide as possible. And you also wanted to design it for accidental gamers, i.e. people that is not sort of actively seeking to play a game. They might be sort of looking at their Facebook feed, and then they see a link from a friend and click that, and off they go into a game. So that is an accidental gamer. Cool. That was level 4. And here's a pair of socks. Well done. Okay, get ready. 2, 1. I heard platform. I will have to give you that. So it's cross-platform. To reach a big audience, I think that you need to make sure that you can reach outside of one particular platform. So basically be able to distribute and to sort of ship a game experience that goes beyond different platforms. So for example, you should be able to play on Android, you should have the same application on iOS, but also on the web. And in order to sort of speed up this cross-platform thinking, we use Facebook as a sort of viral mechanics. So if you play Candycrush, for example, on Facebook, you can send requests to someone that is playing on mobile, and the mobile guy goes to App Store and downloads the game. So you have a closed viral loop, which is really good if you want the big distribution to get to 100 million players. Another thing that has been really successful for King, at least, is that we allow you to pick up your progress on multiple devices. So you can basically play the game on Facebook, on using your desktop computer, and then you can basically pick up that game progression on your mobile phone. And that has been very successful. And that is sort of spreading the word of the game, but also sort of making it more accessible. Okay, here's a hard one. I should give you a pair of socks. It was you, right? No? There, sorry. Okay, this is a hard one. It basically corresponds to level 65 in Candycrush. Okay? Depth. Yes, correct. You nailed it. Level 65. Congratulations. So, a lot of people think of casual games as shallow gaming experiences. But I would sort of argue that if you look at Candycrush, it has a lot of depth to it. We have more than 400 levels in the game, and we have added tons of different things to the gameplay that sort of adds depth to the experience. And we have basically tried to prolong the experience of playing the game from like 5 minutes to many months. And one thing that was really successful for us, at least, was to crowdsource the level design of the game. So we basically built a tool that allowed everyone within King.com to design their own levels, and then we voted for the best ones, and we sort of did a lot of testing around the different levels. And that allows you to scale the content and the depth of the product really, really quick. And if you look at how we work at King, in particular, we try to organize in small, autonomous teams. So there's a small team doing Candycrush on mobile, for example. And that team decides what to ship, i.e. how to design the product. They decide how they want to ship it, and they decide when to release the product, and after they take care of the game once it has been launched. And we believe that doing this sort of distributed decision-making creates a lot of passion among the employees and everyone within King.com. And that passion leads to happy employees and happy people working at King. And happy people, we believe that happy people create good things. So that is one sort of side note, what we believe is also an important thing in order to get to 100 million players. So trying to summarize the depth topic, it's about adding a lot of levels, adding content, making sure that you involve a lot of people in the design phase of the game, but also try to design for no spikes, i.e. try to have a constant growth of the game. And we've been sort of very fortunate to launch Candycrush in November last year, and we have had no spikes in terms of the chart of the most top grossing game in US right now. So we've been very lucky, and it's quite fun. One other thing that is really important for King is that we try to organize in a way that allows us to move really quick and fast. And we iterate and try to launch the product as quickly as possible to the customers, and then iterate and try to find out what they actually want. And we release new content and new features of the game every 2 weeks. And that gives a lot of sort of feedback back to the development team. And working as a developer, for example, that means that you can write some code, and then maximum 2 weeks later, you have it in production in front of millions of people. So it's a really quick feedback loop to the development team and the guys who are sort of designing the game. Awesome. So let's hand out a pair of socks. Okay? Wow. Sorry. So level 6. Are you ready? Everyone is silent. Collaboration, almost. Social, I heard social, correct. So one thing that is important in order to reach the broad masses is to design a game that is social. And by social, we mean it's not like a massive multiplayer online game. It's more about being able to share and talk about the game with your friends. And it's important that the game is fun when you play it all alone, but even more fun when you play it with your friends, basically. And the games that we currently are designing are mostly about sort of collaborating with your friends rather than competing with them. Even though we come from a competitive environment where we had it on when we had the games on King.com. And you want to basically sort of make sure that if you have a TV show and you're sitting at a table and 3 of your friends are talking about a TV show, then it's more likely for you to actually sort of pick that TV show up. And it's important that you try to design the game so that you get that same feeling for the game, basically. Okay, let's hand out a pair of socks. I don't actually remember. Oh, okay, cool. There you go. Thanks. Level 7. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Go. Anyone? I heard global, almost. Universal, I heard, sorry, universal too. And actually that is correct. In order to get to the big audience, it's quite important that you try to find something that has a universal appeal. If you look at what we've done at Candycrush, is that we have localized the application, i.e. we have sort of translated into tons of different languages, and we have also sort of made it available for different social graphs. So for example, in the Western European and the Western world, Facebook is the biggest social graph out there. But in some Asian markets, for example, Korea, a network called Kakao is the biggest one. So we have sort of adopted that social graph for that market. What we haven't done is to localize or make the game look adapted to the culture of a specific market. So for example, changing the characters or the look of the graphics in the game. We haven't done that. And if you look at Candycrush, I believe that has sort of a universal appeal. It's easy for someone, regardless where you live in the world, to actually pick it up and start playing it. And I believe that if you create a fantastic product and that sort of feels a need of people, then it's gonna have like a universal appeal. Okay, the final level. But first, a pair of socks. There you go. Cool. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Green, I heard green. Where was that? Here. Okay, green over there. So it's actually evergreen. So in order to get to the big 100 million users, I think that you need to find a game format that is an evergreen game format. And if you look at the real life game formats that is out there, that has been around for many, many years, is for example chess, backgammon, or mahjong. And if you look at digital versions of the evergreen game format, I think that Match 3, the kind of game that Candycrush is one of those universal, one of those evergreen game formats. And the category leader right now is, I would sort of say, Bejeweled from PopCap, even though that Candycrush is coming on pretty strong right now. Another evergreen game is Tetris, obviously, that has been around for a long period, and everyone is sort of playing it still today. And solitaires, you can basically pick whatever operating system or device, you will always find a solitaire game onto that platform. And that shows that this game format is going to live for many, many years. And it's important to reach the big numbers. I think that you need to try to find an evergreen game format. And looking at the characteristics of a game format, it's sort of a healthy mix between having skills and some luck. And there's also a healthy mix between sort of simplicity, easy to pick up the game, but also complexity in terms of being really hard to crack and be really good at the game. And you want to trigger some parts of your brain, the user's brain, where they actually sort of come into the mood where they say, okay, I just want to beat this game, I just want to play it one more time. And then you probably know that you have hit the sweet spot in terms of game format. So, game over. We've done eight levels, and I would just like to summarize them. And if you look at the Candycrush characteristics right now, one of the things is the eye candy, the polish of the game. Another thing is the freemium model, i.e. you should be sort of, don't introduce any barriers for the users to actually play your game. It needs to be accessible. You should be able to pick it up at any time during the day. It needs to be cross-platform so that you can play it across any of your favorite devices that you have out there. You also want to add depth to it so that you can play it for a long time. The social element is extremely important. Universal, it needs to have a global appeal and an evergreen game format. And that has basically led Candycrush to 100 million players, and it's basically a couple of tips from me if you are about to design a game that I think are key success factors for us. All right, that's it from me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Thomas. That was a great, those were some great insights, and thank you for that presentation. We will take some questions now. In the back. A mic is coming to you.
Yep.
Hello. Hey, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You were talking about testing the levels and the level design. So I was wondering, and you're talking about developers that were taking in-house testings and decisions and so on. So I was wondering if there is a way King is actually gathering information from the user that will help the usability. So I'm talking about a two-way communication between the user and King, and then that is helping actually all the usabilities that you are doing and the testings that the developers are doing.
Yes. If you look at how we absolutely collect a lot of data about our customers in order to actually make the game even better. So we use that. Currently, I think that we are way above 15 billion data points every day about our customers that we are collecting and sort of crunching in our Hadoop cluster and with the big data kind of thing. And we use that data to optimize the level progression and optimize how the users are actually playing our game. So absolutely, we use our own intuition. We mix that with the data that we get from the customers, and hopefully we will get something.
Were you doing this from the beginning, or it's something that you realized during the way that it's a must and you started to do it?
We designed it from the beginning, but we didn't have time to sort of look at it initially. So we used our own intuition initially to put the game out there, and then fairly quickly we sort of started to look at the data.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks.
We have some questions in the front. Okay.
Hi. You mentioned getting to 225 million players right now, right? And you started the count at 22. How did you get to that point?
The King has been around for 10 years, and we've had a lot of King.com is a fairly big website, and it has been for many years. So, but getting to the point where we had 20 million users, we basically had that, but we saw the big uptick initially on Facebook. But sort of, we were hovering around 15 million or something, and then we sort of started to launch games on Facebook, and we saw the Saga game format picking up. And at that time, we sort of used our own website to get the players to play our games on Facebook, but also sort of obviously marketing and those kind of things.
So the first 8 years or 10, right? First 8 years of the company of King.
Seven first, yes.
The 7, yeah. Okay. And these years basically was all based on revenue. I mean, did you get any financing on this, or did you just, you know?
King has been profitable for many years before we saw this growth, and if you play the games on King.com, it's basically a tournament format with it's called skill gaming, a gaming model where you basically play games in tournaments where you are being matched against opponents that are equally as good, and you can basically stake money. So we made our money from rakes from those tournaments. So,
okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? A mic is coming to you right now.
Hi. Do you change the game difficulty based on whether the player is paying and how much he is paying in order to optimize the revenue that you get from a given player?
No.
You don't? Okay, good. Because I have read that happened, and I was wondering.
No,
how you
we don't do that. Not sort of giving you. If you start spending money in Candycrush, and then we sort of see, okay, this is probably a good customer. Let's make the game even harder. That's not how we do it.
Okay, thanks.
It's a good idea, though. But
Okay, about 2 or 3 more questions. Dragos over there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you do media buying, and if so, what were some good strategies that worked for you?
We did do media buying and sort of performance marketing campaigns. I'm a techie, so unfortunately I don't know that much about it, but I know that we are quite sophisticated in terms of doing that. But I'm so sorry.
Okay, next question.
Are you developing a version of Candycrush Saga for Windows Phone 8 or BlackBerry 10? And if not, what are your reasons for not doing so?
Right now we are sort of primarily focusing on iOS and Android, and we are not actively looking at any other platforms right now, mainly because we want to see a big sort of a platform growing big before we do a move.
Okay, thank you. And the last question.
What cross-platform technologies are you using, and how do you get devoted developers for those technologies?
Getting good talent is really, really hard for us. So we started off in Stockholm, and at some point we started to set up new game studios at different locations, primarily because the talent pool in Stockholm was too small. So last year we set up a new studio here in Bucharest, but also in Barcelona and in London and in southern parts of Sweden, in Malmö. So finding good talent is really, really hard. And in terms of our cross-platform technologies, we use a game engine that we have built in-house. So we basically, for mobile we use and develop our games in C++, so that we don't have to rewrite the game if we go from iOS to Android.
Cool. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Okay, thank you very
Those are
much.
some great answers.